everyone, welcome to Reading with Eve, and let's get on with the bookish video. Today I'm recommending you 5 sort of modern horror books that are Gothic adjacent. I say sort of modern because I think all of them, bar one, were written in like the past 10 something years or so, 10, 15 years. So you're not gonna hear like Gothic horror classics or anything here because I feel like they're kind of self-explanatory. So yeah, I'll just quickly walk you through these books as I've talked about all of them before, but I'll focus on why I think they're good for this particular trope. Let's begin. So the first one is the only one I don't have my physical copy because I left it at my parents', but I think I'll actually end up unhauling it because I gave it a 2.5 stars. I didn't love it, but I think that it fits perfectly, and that's what this is about. So this is Mayhem by Sarah Pinborough, and this is a kind of a fantastical-esque Gothic retelling of Jack the Ripper murders. Like, even if you're not a true crime enthusiast, you know who Jack the Ripper was and what he did. And it's one of the most famous unsolved murders in the world, I think. I mean, it should be. So yeah, it's definitely driving those Gothic elements when we see the descriptions of London at the time. I don't remember much of it, I'm not gonna lie, but it definitely matches the vibe as we follow the killer, as we follow our main character. So if you are into Jack the Ripper, and if you're into London settings and a bit of fantastical element as you're also solving a murder mystery, I would definitely recommend it, even if it didn't work for me exactly. Then I have, it's technically described as like a paranormal folk fairy tale, but for me it had a bit of a Gothic element, and that is The Near Witch by V. Schwab. I think it's her first book actually, and this is about this town near where there's only a handful of people living there. There are no strangers until one day this guy shows up, and then immediately after he shows up, the children in the town start going missing. So he immediately gets blamed for it, except our main character, Lexi, she believes that he doesn't have anything to do with it, and it's actually the Near Witch. So where the Gothic element comes in for me, I think that when you think about Gothic, it doesn't necessarily have to be like ghosts or anything like that, for me anyway. So where the aspect comes for me, it's the small town with like really old-fashioned views. There's lots of like subtle imagery, that sort of, you know, just creeps under your skin vibe. Our main character, she is trying to make a difference. She doesn't necessarily fit in, and the way a romantic connection between her and the stranger is described, it's very sort of gentle, very subtle, you know how in those older Gothic novels, it definitely gives me that vibe, even if that's not how it's classed as under genre. So if you're into stories about witches set in like small towns, something that feels like this old fairy tale vibe, then definitely pick this one up. Does she have better books by now? I mean, I've only read 2, including this one, so far, so probably. But I think if this is her starting point, then it's a damn good one. I think I gave this one 4 stars. Then the one classic technically I have, because it was written in the 1930s, it's a book that I made a whole ass video about months back, and it is Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier. This is about an unnamed narrator who is kind of like a companion for this old lady. Back then it was a proper profession, she's just there to travel with her, but she's miserable. So she meets this older man, like he could be her father, basically, and he offers to marry her, to take her to his estate and just give her a better life. Except that as soon as they get married and they go to his estate, things get weird because everyone's obsessed with his deceased wife, Rebecca, the titular name of the novel, and yeah, she just is haunted in more ways than one, and no matter what she does, she can't really escape it, and then things take a turn. So yeah, I mean, I thought this book was brilliant. I know it's not going to be for everyone because it's long, it's slow, but where the Gothic aspect for me comes in is there's always that sense of unsettlement that is very subtle. And as soon as the character arrives at the estate, if not sooner, we feel like the sense of that something is not right. And we're just there waiting for the other shoe to drop the whole time. Like, it's suspenseful, but in a very delicate way. And everything that's described, we just sort of know that it's not okay, that something's not right. But we're just meant to watch. Like, you know, we can't intervene even though we want to. And it's all very, very soft and delicate, and yet kind of horrifying in its own way. But yeah, more thoughts in a wrap up for, I think I read this in March, and also in the video that I made specifically for this book. Going down a more traditional route when it comes to what we think about when we hear the word Gothic is A Horrid by Katrina Leno. I'm not gonna lie, this was a cover buy for me, but it was also one of the first horror books that I've ever read, like the second time of me giving the genre a chance, because I just picked some really crappy books the first time around, and then I kind of dropped off from it for like 3 years. But anyway, so this is a proper haunted house story about our titular character and her mom, who move back to their old house after Jane's father passes away unexpectedly, and they can't afford to live where they were, so they move to Jane's mother's family's old home. And yeah, Jane thinks that they're not alone there, that there is some presence haunting them. And I would say that this is definitely, it's a 5-star for me, but this is definitely like on the softer side of 5 stars, because I did have some quabbles with it. Like the ending, I know it's very mixed, when depends who you ask. Some people liked the ending, some people hated it, and just some general things. I thought they focused a lot on like high school politics and stuff, when they could have focused a bit more on the scare aspect. But when they did focus on the scare aspect, it was really well done, and it definitely captures that feeling that, again, like, drink how many times I say subtle in this video, but like it captured that feeling that something is wrong, but you can't quite pinpoint what, so you're just sort of reading on and seeing what's gonna happen, and there's that slow build up. So yeah, I would definitely recommend it, even if you don't particularly read YA. I think that this is still a good book to try if you're into that sort of horror. And for my last pick to recommend you, it's literally in the name. It is Mexican Gothic by Silvia Moreno Garcia. I read this last year and I think I gave it 4 stars. This is a book about Noemi, who goes to see her cousin after her cousin sends this weird letter saying that she thinks her husband is trying to hurt her. So she goes to this house, and it's really weird. Like, the whole house, there's just, again, something wrong with the house and the people in it. Everyone is just so mean to her, or like outright weird, except the brother of her cousin's husband. So I guess kind of like her brother-in-law once removed, whatever, who cares. So yeah, this follows what happens once she gets there, and things just escalate through and through. I would say characters make some interesting choices as tensions build. There's a lot of interesting commentary. There's some disgusting horror here as well. There's an interesting twist, but yeah, it's definitely a take on what Gothic horror is that kind of modernizes it while also keeping those pillars that created it, basically, like paying that homage to it. So yeah, I would definitely recommend it if you somehow haven't already read it, because I think this one was huge a few years ago. And those are the 5 Gothic adjacent somehow horror books that I would recommend to you. Some of them I think that technically Mayhem and the Near Witch, they aren't outright horror, but they do have some creepy elements, so I put them in here. You know, it's my video. I can say what I want, well, within reason, but you know what I mean. So I hope that if you like this video, maybe click that subscribe button, give me a thumbs up if you read any of these. What did you think? Would you have any other recommendations? This is definitely not the only part of this video I'm gonna make, because I'm definitely gonna read more Gothic horror in the future, so look out for that, and I'll see you next